Well, joining me now is Nino, who's in charge of Death or Glory Fest and a lot of other things, it sounds like. Nino, thank you for joining.
Thank you very much for having me, man. Really awesome. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm excited to talk to you about this. Festival, it's obviously festival season, depending on where you're at throughout the year, but summer is always festival season, and there's so many really cool ones. And I'm sure it's probably hard to stand out when there's so many good ones. So it's really like lineup, location, and I think you've nailed both. Warm in September because so many of those festivals are happening throughout the summer. So you kind of have the tail end of summer where maybe some places are starting to cool off a little bit, but it's still great weather in San Diego. So for those that need to tie one on for the festivals, you've arranged quite an amazing lineup there. A friend of mine in Germany, shout out to Thorsten if he's watching, he told me, he's like, "Are you going to that?" I said, "I'm hoping to go to it, but I'm definitely talking to him about it because he's super excited and said there's so many great bands on that lineup."
It's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so different being in like music festival world and monitoring that. I've never monitored like festivals and so much stuff and been in like that thing. It's heavy, but yeah, like music festivals now are huge. There's a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, Southern California, it's a big thing. Dude, they're all the time here and everywhere close. So it's yeah, the summer thing, the timing of it was specific because like you said, the end of September for us in San Diego, that's really summer for us. Summer still right now hasn't really even started yet. It's still like 75, 80. It always is that pretty much. So it really kicks up in a little bit. And then like September is the best because the tourism is really dead. It slows down a bunch. So you can park, you can get to where you got to go. Everything's way cheaper. Hotels are way cheaper. Flights are way cheaper. It's like the best time to come here. It's kind of like the secret. My birthday's in September. So I've always been like, oh, like the best month is September for sure. And then you want to go to the beach and everything. It's no traffic. You can go surf. There's not many people, so it's a good time. Yeah, but the fest covers a lot of ground, a lot of stuff that really covers a lot of the interests of people in the area and stuff. That's cool that your buddy heard about it in Germany. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I think when you put together a great lineup, all the bands, any band, if they're promoting themselves whatsoever, they're going to say, "Hey, we're doing this thing," and you obviously have so many great bands. So whichever way people hear about it, whether it's directly from you, your website, your social medias, or these individual bands, there's so many. So I'm sure there's quite an outlet, and you have, you know, for me in the punk scene, there's always great bands, and then there's the bands that I think are really great, and I don't think have a good following at the moment. Maybe they just haven't really been discovered. But I think you've got some bands that have a huge following, some newer bands that just blew up, and other bands that have been around for just forever at this point, and have huge followings in and of themselves. And in some cases, which we'll get to, bands kind of on the tail end of if you want to see them live.
Yeah, you hit all that on the head like perfectly. That's what I was kind of going for in terms of like there's definitely a way I wanted to look at it. Yeah, I wanted to get some of these bands before they were done, like obviously Slapshot and stuff, and just get bands that are still like hanging like TSOL and Coast Life and other stuff, and then bands that are blowing up right now, catch them like right there, like Skinhead and CMI and some of these other guys. And then yeah, there's also something there where I wanted it to be a little bit of I always say like a flavor for everyone. Like there's that punk rock flavor, there's that the heavy hardcore flavor, and then there's like the in the middle, like punk rock hardcore flavor. So it's got something for everyone, and I booked it in a sense where it's like if you're going there for example to see TSOL, it's not like all the bands are super heavy hardcore and then TSOL comes on. It's like you got a DI, you have Bone Crusher, Total Chaos, cool bands that complement that fan, So like if you're going there to see the opposite side, like a Cold as Life, you can still see like World of Pain and like Scalp and like a lot of other bands that complement them really well. So it's something for every fan gets to see like a cool lineup for their genre that they really like, and then you discover and get to see other awesome stuff too. But I think most people like myself, particularly once you get a little bit older, like I'm 40, almost 41, it's you kind of like everything, so you appreciate it all. Like it's hard to just hear heavy beat down. I want to also hear melody. I want to also hear. I was trying to throw
Right?
reggae on here. I wanted to really get some more stuff going on. So maybe next year, but yeah, totally hit it on the head.
I'm sure it's a lot of work. So before we get into all the work that you put in for this, all the surrounding shows, like actual shows to see leading up to, because you did, it's not just this 1 day festival. You have early shows leading in. So anybody that wants to come in early, there's going to be great bands that you don't want to miss. We'll get to those. And then there's not just something for everybody in the music sense, there's something for everybody in this kind of subculture sense. And we'll get to all that, but what brought you here? Where did you start with to decide, hey, I'm going to do a music and tattoo festival? And then again, like if I'm going to start a music and tattoo festival personally, I'm going to downplay a little bit because I haven't done it, but I've talked with a lot of people. I might be able to arrange something, but I've got no experience doing it, right? So what's your experience doing it? And I guess that can kind of lead us into the amount of work that it takes to arrange something with, again, so many well-known bands and so many great up-and-coming bands. There's a difference between up-and-coming that people are going to experience, just as you pointed out, like, hey, I'm going to go for these other bands, and then you're going to throw somebody on there like Tracks, right? That if people don't know them, they're going to be like, oh shit, that's a new band that might not have that
So
big
good.
of a following yet, but give them some time, and you got that kind of a band, but you also have the bands that are huge and have been around for decades. Not like, hey, this band's been hitting it hard for like 5 years, which is still impressive, but hitting it hard for decades. Some of these bands, longer than a lot of people who are going to come see this show, have been alive even.
Yeah.
And so let's get to it. Let's start at wherever you think the origins are, the beginning. What led you into doing this?
Sure, yeah. It's definitely something that I always describe when I talk with the fest has been brewing in me for a long, long time. I mean, like probably 15 years ago in college, just randomly then I did like a paper in a special events class that I took. I've been doing events and booking shows since I was like 12. So it's always kind of been a thing with me. But I remember in college doing a paper on this, pretty much on this event. It was called San Diego Fest and had all this stuff, just wasn't specific to tattoos. And then teacher just wrote, I remember her writing a thing like, you should do this as a profession, but that was not at all what I was trying to do for college. It was just a class I took, and it was something where I remembered it and I actually kept it. I haven't looked at it recently, but it's yeah, I started doing the shows a long time ago in Boston where I was born, and that was in the started doing shows like around 96, 97. And so that was super DIY, doing flyers, just going to other shows, handing out, posting flyers everywhere where people will see them. But I like doing it. It's just fun. To be a promoter, you gotta like just I don't know. It's like glutton for pain. You just you have to. It's like this thankless job, and you just get after it. But it's just a fun thing, and it brings people joy. And it brings a lot. It brings bands together. It gives my. I started doing when I was a kid just so my band would get shows because we're no one's gonna bug us. We're just a bunch of little shits. So we'll book our own shows. And I just had older homies in the Boston punk rock and hardcore scene. Luckily, that like put me under their wings and just taught me everything on how to do at that time, like how you book bands at that time and how you here's all their numbers, this is how you contact them, like the whole thing. And then let's see, probably like around 14, 15, my mom moved to San Diego when I was like 10. So my parents are split up. So I go back and forth between the two for a long time and go to a lot of shows in San Diego at the same time. So it's very interesting to go to two totally different worlds. Crazy Boston to San Diego, West Coast, like late 90s. Oh wow. So it was awesome. And then that kind of all ended for me like around 15 years old. I started doing crazy street stuff and getting into that for a long time. And then coming back to everything and just getting out of that life and becoming an adult, I started my own businesses and I would do a lot of events for my own businesses, promotional events. And then with this thing, it kind of led to me once I started my own businesses. It was cool. I got confidence I could start something and it won't fall apart. I can put a lot of hard work into something. It'll actually possibly might work, might pay off. And doing shows, that kind of thing is one thing. But when I really started everything again, it was actually with the Firm clothing line, which was just a clothing line and tattoo shop. And the Firm clothing line was it's cool. I got to design a lot of really cool stuff. I always had a big passion for band merch since I was a kid, since like the mid 90s when everything was just Nirvana shirts and Metallica shirts and Pantera shirts. So that's all I've ever worn is band shirts. So that's a huge love for me. I've also always had this crazy weird love for tattoos. I've always drawn them out as long as I can remember. I've never been a tattoo artist, but a couple of my best friends became them. So we started tattooing when I was like 17. So that's always been there. So heavy music and concerts has also been this crazy love of mine as well, that I started as a little kid and just always been there. I'll go to shows by myself. I don't care. Like it's just my personal love that I just, even my wife, she's not about this world or anything. She's just like, yeah, for some reason, that's your thing. That's like your therapy. I don't know why. You can just go there and you're good. And you come back and you're on like a good high for like a couple days. So it's something where I put all these loves together. And with the firm, I was able to kind of do that. And it was really a passion project. And then it started a couple months before COVID. So the tattoo shop never opened. It was just a clothing line that was just all about punk rock, hardcore, tattoo lifestyle. And then when the COVID thing ended, we could do shows. I said, I'll do some pop up shows. I'll get, I did a collaboration with Lower Class Brats. So we dropped in on a collab, like pop up show, excuse me, that we did, which was fun. I was like, this is great. There's like 200 people in this room that all now know the firm and all like these clothes and all like these shirts. It was a cool idea. Do it again. If you look at doing it at like music festivals, it's a lot of money and it's really hard to do, particularly if you're coming up, as a clothing line. You're probably going to lose, money. It's going to be really hard. You got to be really financially backed and you're going to lose some time. And I just got kids and stuff. I don't got time to lose anymore. So I kept doing the idea of the shows to promote the clothes. And then I just had made more fun doing the shows and fell in love with it all over again and just bringing it up and bringing it up. And then a couple years ago, did SummerSlam, and it was a really awesome music festival. Had Strife, Dead Heat, Take Offense, Des Madre, jeez, Tyranno. There was like 19 bands, Mongrel, a bunch of hardcore bands, but there was a freaking hurricane on the day of it that never showed up. But for San Diego, like we don't get rain. It goes, I don't remember last time it rained. It's when it rains here, working in the bar world for a long time, no one goes out. It's everyone just stays in. It's an excuse to kind of stay in. So if someone says hurricane, never mind, you got to go board up the house, and it was crazy. So the best happened, but it was a letdown with that situation. So I wanted to just do it again. And since that moment, I was just like, I want to do it again. I want to do it again. There's no way I'm going to live my life and wish I did this again. And if I'm going to do it again, I'm going to be way more planned out. It's going to be bigger. I know what I want to do now. And I want to incorporate this other element with the Tattoo Expo thing. And totally just literally just brewing. Like that's kind of what, since I was 12, now I'm 41 almost. And now we're here. And it's just something with San Diego Harley. I've been talking to them for, like 3 years about doing shows. They've have a long history of doing stuff in San Diego, whether it's Mike Ness or they most recently did POD with No Innocent Victim and Dogwood. It was a really cool show they did about like in March or something. So they're cool. They're awesome people. They have a great like layout. Their their parking lot's like a huge massive L, but it's like the size of a football field on each side. So and they're down for it to be like a venue. So it's kind of like all now coming together. I got great people that I'm working with, music festival consultants, proper entertainment companies. Everything's like all proper dialed in. So it's really exciting. Really,
That
can't wait
that's
for you.
awesome. That sounds like so much more than, hey, I think if I build it, they'll come, right? That mentality, it takes a lot of work, and as you said, kind of a glutton for pain, also a glutton to put in hard work. Otherwise, it can't happen. I'm sure coordinating with all of these bands. I don't know if you've run into any of those issues, but bands drop off festivals. And so then plugging people in, changing
Yeah.
stuff. You got to have graphic stuff drawn up, obviously visually appealing things that people can share. And
Yeah.
then everything else that you've mentioned that you're working with. So that is a lot of
So
work,
many
plus
moving
all the
parts. Yeah.
coordinating. Yeah, you got to have stages. Then you're going to have equipment, and then people to run equipment and stuff like that. So it's so much more than just, hey, here's the show, everybody come show up.
Yeah. SummerSlam was
Look what I put
literally
together.
that was SummerSlam. SummerSlam was that. There was one security guard, kinda, like there was one stage manager, everything. We felt like an hour and a half behind. But it was so fucked. And that was just like not even, that was with the so-called hurricane. This shit, geez, man, yeah, it's day and night. I got like 100 people working the event. It's massive. There's like three different people, like three heads in charge, like working this thing. There's also, I didn't even mention the merch mall. So basically, I kind of mentioned my three loves growing up are concerts, particularly this style and this music, tattoos and merch. Like, there's a whole merch mall that we have there as well. So it's just a whole three-headed monster of crazy things going on. But organization, preparation, doing it in a timely manner, just really, I'm a super big on organization. I've learned that hard work is the best way to get after it. Work as hard as you can, to be as organized as you can and prepared as you can, and just strategize as best as you can. I learned from hopefully my mistakes, and just kind of throughout my years and doing music and doing anything and stuff. And so yeah, definitely kind of what you said hits on the head. It's a lot of hard work, but if you like doing hard work, it pays off, and you get to have an awesome show and people are into it and everyone's excited. And the idea is it goes on for a long time. This is the first annual. So I would like to do a couple of these and possibly one day get back to Boston. Yeah.
Right. East Coast, West Coast, do one of each, alternate each year, go one and the other, something like that. I think that helps, when people do festivals, punk rock bowling. I like to use that as an example because it's one of the bigger punk festivals. It's always in Las Vegas, and they always have a shit ton of California bands, which is great. They do a good job of mixing up, but that's the drawback to that is if people are flying in, you're going to get a lot of California bands. Great, no big deal.
Yeah.
I think that's great to put a festival. If I was going to put a festival on, I'd probably want to go to California for the first time, just because there are so many awesome bands. But I think if you get to alternate around a little bit, like East Coast and West Coast, you're kind of changing what the base of some of those bands, like your headliners can come from anywhere, realistically, if they're on tour or whatever, but you're going to have a lot of the bands that are probably playing earlier on in the day, probably more local bands, because there's less money to give out and less other things for those bands. It's more of the opportunity. And so that if you go to the East Coast, then you get to bring almost a new variety to kind of fill the lineup, as on top of whatever else you're going to put in, headliners and so forth. So that's a great concept. And if you have the connections to do it, that's awesome. It'd be great if you had something like the Harley Davidson place on the East Coast to go do.
Yeah. Yeah. Way better doing it on private property than, than working with the
Oh,
city and
yeah.
having to go through all that. So luckily they own their land, they own their spot. But yeah, no, to
Right.
what you were saying musically, yeah, it's definitely, I wanted to have something that we don't see out here that much, because yeah, in California we kind of see the same big fest over and over again with a lot of the same California bands. Like punk rock bowling's not that big. Honestly, I didn't go to punk rock bowling. That's when my daughter's birthday is. I never actually go, but to me, I was just like, oh, cool, power trip. Everything else was like, I already see all these bands. And then on top of that, I was like, but then who do I see before power trip? That kind of went to what I was saying earlier, like what leads up to that, my band? Do I just see that one band? That's what I was kind of looking at it. Like, yeah, I definitely want to line it up where that fan gets something else. But yeah, if you look at that, you're totally right. Yeah, there's not a lot of East Coast on there. And the idea of this was there's really no fest like it. This is Cold as Life's first time ever in Southern California. They haven't been to California for like 25 years. Never been south of
Wow.
Sacramento. So stuff like that, and Slapshot's last ever, and the other East Coast bands. It's a crazy combo to bring them all together with some of the usual suspects from the West Coast stuff. Like, but still, yeah, it's cool to see something different. Because if I'm just chilling watching this, of course I'm gonna say it's awesome because I booked it. But if I'm looking at it, I would be stoked to make this is rad. I got all the cool stuff that I don't always get to see, and I don't think anyone ever. You never get to really see these. There's one in particular fest in Europe that's kind of similar. That's amazing. I think it's called Revolution Calling. But
Yeah.
otherwise, you don't. Yeah, that one's really really good. That's kind of like an inspiration for me. But the otherwise, you're not really going to see this much of a mix up of all these type of West Coast, East Coast, older, younger, middle age. I don't know what you call it, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you call it, right? You got the new blood coming in, the new younger generation. We were all teenagers once, and now there's a new set of them, and then the ones that aren't quite where the old school guys are yet, but and then all the old school guys. With this lineup, I think I'm going to bounce around because while we're on this topic, you have two stages. So, what
Yes.
time does this start? With because again, it's a stacked lineup for one day, and this is just right now we're exclusively talking about the one day part of the festival, not the other shows that you have leading up to it as well. So,
Yeah.
and one great thing that I do like, so we'll get to that, is speaking of punk rock bowling. sometimes you go and there's band and then you have two stages. So when one ends, the next one starts. More efficient way to do it and get the bands going. But sometimes you're like, that next band, I'm cool, just hearing them. I don't have to go right up to the stage. Well, what else is around? So you have that queued up for people. They can go check out. And we
Mhm.
should get into that too. The variety of other things, the merch mall, the tattoos, and I think you were saying something about cars as well
Yeah.
earlier. So it
Yeah.
gives you a lot to do where you can be like, I like this band, I've seen this band, or even if you don't like the band, but you can be listening and enjoying that, but then also checking out all the other stuff.
Yeah. It's like a
So feel
whole
free to
day
jump in on
long.
anything I said.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a whole day long of things going on. So musically, number one, the set times don't overlap. The area where the main area where all the stages are, there's two stages. It's basically think of it like a huge football field, and each end zone is a stage. So the bands just go back and forth. One ends, then the other stage starts. So we kind of have it set up like that. So no one will ever overlap. You're right there. Cool. I'm putting it where if certain kind of bands where we can get like a little rock block, or maybe a heavy rock block, or maybe a more oi kind of rock block, or kind of stack it a little bit. You kind of try to piece it around. Okay, how's this experience going to be for this fan? Is this band going to want to play right after this? Trying to set it up where it'll move nice and smooth throughout the set. But yeah, so musically it'll run like that, and then just through the day. I mean, there's food. It's all ages. It's September 27th. Just so we're clear, it's September 27th. You can get your tickets at deathorglorysd.com for all the tickets, including obviously what we're talking about right now. But yeah, so the merch mall is going to have a lot of awesome stuff. We're going to have like Tang Records there and Monster Island guys. Lots of records, lots of obviously merch, but then other stuff. We got skateboards there. Um, we have different piercers there. We have kind of like of array of different clothing lines, kind of different distributors and stuff like that. So you can kind of just get lost in the merch mall for a couple hours just looking through all that kind of stuff. Tang is probably one of the best, man. They've been out here for a long time before they were in Boston. But I mean, you go to the record store, it's just like wow, it's like going into a vault. So they're gonna have a lot of awesome stuff. But yeah, so we got about let's see, 16 vendors, tattoo punks. Some of the other guys are there as well. Some of the tattoo shops, tattoo artists selling artwork as well. I'm also gonna have tattoos going on outside. There's actually a tattoo zone by the stage, so it's cool. So you can get tattooed and be literally like right by the main stage, just boom, right there, getting glass. That's such a cool, different experience to be like, look at that person
Right.
stage diving while I'm getting like my neck tattooed or something, that's going to be the coolest. And I thought like to be that person would be just the raddest thing that I want that to one day be a whole row, a lot of people are inside, but hopefully if the elements work and the outside thing works cool. There's just so much cool stuff to check out on that end, but going inside to the tattoo expo, Harley Davidson's immaculate. The one we have here, it's like this huge airport hangar, but has all glass ceilings. So the lights like beautiful. And then it's also just lit up perfect in there. So for tattoo and for looking at beautiful art, it's like the perfect setup and light work. And inside, they have a ton of awesome Harley set up, old school, new school ones, choppers, all types of cool stuff inside along the whole expo that's in there. We're gonna have 60 artists inside. I got like some of the kind of SoCal legends that have been around for a long time, some Ink Master tattoo artists, a lot of like this. It's cool because helping out some of the younger people kind of get their name out there. People from like smaller regions and stuff like that, just help promote them. We promote them on the website, promote them on social media. If anyone wants to get booked by the tattoo artist or wants to get tattooed at Death or Glory, do it, man. If you just go on the website, you can pick any artist on there. If you just go to Instagram, that's usually kind of most tattoo artists portfolio nowadays. Just Death or Glory underscore SD is my Instagram. You'll see all the artists that are on there. You can pick and choose. There's a little bit of something for everyone. We got artists coming from all over the country, Texas, Missouri, Utah, Vegas, Arizona, everyone in the Southwest, really all over California and stuff. So it'll be really awesome. I love tattoo expos. I just love walking around, talking to artists, checking out the tattoos, seeing what's new, seeing just all the different styles. I've been getting tattoos since 2001. Everything for me was single needle back in the day. So to see what's out there now and to see all the new tattoos and realism and the new guns and stuff like that, it's cool to check out and meet all these new people. the cool thing about it too is everyone's always in such a good mood about it. So it's fun, and we'll have awards and stuff like that. What I'm gonna do with the awards instead of just having like, usually they're kind of like to the side. I'm gonna give them the awards second to last band, right before they go on stage. Give them in front of like a couple thousand people. Get someone that cool moment for them. Get some. We got about I think a dozen different awards we're gonna hand out for the tattoo portion of the thing. Um, we actually do have a couple of spots left. If anyone wants to go on there, it's all on the website. We both have vendor spots and tattoo spots for people that want to jump on. But yeah, so that's kind of like it's an array of things going on. Two different stages. The merch mall. Obviously, we have food. We have a beer garden, all that kind of stuff. It's an all ages event, so in California, you have to have like a zone off beer garden kind of section. You can't just. I mean, this is 21 plus, and you can walk around, but yeah, I want to definitely keep it all ages, so we got to do it like that. But yeah, it's just a fun day in itself, and then after parties and stuff the next day and the day before, and kind of making really a weekend out of it. I think punk rock bowling is inspiration. Every time I think about the weekend element of this thing, like trying to, we had a really cool pool party set up, and literally the hotel saw the flyer, saw some band names, and said, "No, it was a high hit," and they just canceled us. And I was like, "All right, we just move on, go to the next one, reset." I was expecting it, it's stuff that happens, it's part of it. It's not the first or last time, but so now just doing it again, but like doing a punk rock pool party and things like that, so it can really be like a fun weekend, like punk rock bowling does. It's definitely the goal for it for sure.
And I'm sure, with any type of networking, when you do something like this and somebody goes and experiences it, they'll compliment you and tell you how great it is, and then have their own ideas, and some you'll have already thought of, and it's just not doable. And others are like, oh shit, I didn't think about that. That's great. You can incorporate those, but also those people that might have that connection, like, hey, it would be totally awesome if you do a pool party. I know the spot, and
Yeah.
something like that could help develop for the next year or the next time. And if you did
Yeah.
go to the East Coast, it could be, there might be a hotel perfect for setting up a pool party like that. So you
Well,
never
San
know,
Diego's like set up to party. We got plenty of
right?
options. So just because these guys said fuck off, like there's like we've talked to like 16, but it's just where we want to go, how do we want to do this kind of situation. But yeah, I mean, this place is San Diego loves partying. This is a party city, so we are not we are not fucked right now.
So possible pool party. Let's talk a little bit more about some of those. We'll come back to the
Yeah.
main part of the fest. So
Yeah.
for somebody that wants the full Death or Glory experience, when should they come in? Since the festival's on
Yeah.
the 27th, what's the full festival experience if somebody wants all of it?
So the thing starts really August 3rd with the warm up show. So the warm up show is 7 seconds. It's at THC, which is the holding company in Ocean Beach. It's an awesome beach
Okay.
down here in San Diego, California. Yeah, August 3rd, 7 seconds. We got Def Club playing with them, Negative Blast, and Ben Blue. So it's an awesome hardcore show. Honored to have 7 seconds play, man. It's that alone is so cool. I just want to see them. They haven't been to San Diego for like 25 something years. So that show is going to be really, really cool. And yeah, that'll kind of be, the warm up at the beginning to this whole Death or Glory experience. The next show will be the pre-show, which is on the 26th, on Friday the 26th. That is also at the holding company in Ocean Beach. They're both 21 plus shows, but that is conservative military image, skinhead, hoods, usual suspects, tracks, and legions. And
Wow.
that one's selling really good. That's going to be a wild show. CMI, I booked them. They were my last show I did in San Diego. I used to book them like every month. I'd have like 3 or 4 shows, and then with kids and everything, now I just kind of don't book them as much. Particularly, I just had my third child here a couple months ago, so we've been chilling. But so my last show, CMI,
Congratulations.
went off. Thank you. Yeah, it went off. It was sold out, and just wanted to get them back here to do this thing again. So that will be a big one. And then we got the show. We're finishing up with setting up our after show / party, and then the pool party. Pool party will be. I'm not going to do bands with the pool party. That'll be all music, DJs, reggae, oi, kicking it, having fun by the pool. That once that grows, I'd like that to grow into bands and stuff like that for sure. Punk rock bowling again with the win on that one, but yeah, that's definitely where we're gonna go with this thing. So August 3rd starts with 7 seconds. September 26th, we got the pre-show with CMI, both at the holding company, and then boom into the 27th with the big day and finishing
That's
that
awesome.
weekend. Hmm.
So much. There's so much there, and a lot of really cool things to be checking out. And really, festivals like this. I mean, I brought up punk rock bowling. You brought it up. Stuff like that's like the gathering of people. Like in normal life,
Yeah.
we interact with a lot of people. You know, spouses included. I'm in that same boat where they might not enjoy these things in the same sense that we might enjoy
Oh,
these things. And so
hate it.
sometimes it is a recharge to uh, gather with like-minded souls, even if it is for a weekend, and it's worth traveling to. Obviously, California, you got a lot of people there, so if anybody's in California, Vegas is not that far. What, 5 hours or so from you drive?
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
like 4 hours to LA, so I don't know, somewhere in that
Yeah.
range. Not
A
far,
couple hours.
but people fly in from all over the world for punk rock bowling, and that's probably because
Hmm.
I guess you have like 3 full days of festival and stuff like that. But still, stuff like this is what I think people like to travel to because again, it's that
Yeah.
recharge. It's loaded with bands that they some of these bands, as you pointed out, haven't been to California or south of Sacramento or in anywhere in that area for 25 plus years. And for some people, they may have never even seen some of these bands. They might live in areas where they never come by because, small population or whoever knows.
Yeah.
And some of
Yeah.
those bands that might be touring a shit ton right now are just really good to see. And so they're great to see as often as you get to see them.
Yeah, totally, man. It's there's where we're at here, it's easy for everyone to get to. It's just in terms of location, it's off all the highways and that stuff or when you're coming into it. But San Diego, it's pretty simple to get it. It's 2.5 hours from to get to the heart of LA from here, but Orange County, IE, everyone, everyone coming from Arizona and Nevada and everything. So there's a lot of people coming in for it. It's you really can't beat the time of year and the setup for it. So it's just a perfect layout. And yeah, you don't want to miss it too. I've learned now, like when bands are older, you go see them because you don't know what's gonna happen. Like on a different genre, right? Like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers is a band that I always loved. I never got to see. I love a lot of old music. And now I kick myself every day, and they're probably the reason why I'm like I should have went. I should go see old bands I want. You never know when someone's gonna say, "Oh, we're done," or someone's gonna whatever's gonna happen. So stuff like particularly like Cold as Life. Like I don't know how long they're going to be doing these shows or stuff like Slapshot or TSOL and DI, like these legends that kind of set it. And it's fun. It's cool to see them all together at the same time too. Bring all those elements. It's
Right?
awesome. Yeah.
It is. So it's great for somebody like you to arrange for something like this that can kind of bring, it's that checklist. Like some people see that Slapshot says it's their final year. And if they're not coming to their town, they're like, oh, geez, if they're not coming to my town on this last time that they're going to be playing shows, where can I go see? And then you see, oh, they're doing this festival. Oh, look at all these other bands. That's the incentive to
Hmm.
pick that to come to, as opposed to, stop in somebody's smaller town show. You can go to any big city, but what's your lineup going to be? Like 4 bands? There might be 4 awesome bands. Now, I don't want to take away from that, but 4 awesome bands
Yeah.
or a whole weekend's worth of bands and so many other great things that you get to go experience.
So sad that they're calling it. I mean, they've been around a long time. I can see it.
Right?
I'm glad they still
Yeah.
played some shows. When I was younger, they didn't play a lot of shows in Boston when I was a kid. Like I never got to see them in the and shows are hard to hear about, like hardcore shows. Unless I was more in the punk side of this stuff, but they weren't really playing much at all in Boston in the late '90s, early 2000s kind of time. So it's cool to get them see. Like I've seen them more now than in the last like 15 years or so than I thought I ever would because I didn't see them at all really as a kid. And it's crazy, yeah. They're so great, but then to call it quits, it makes sense. But this is a great way, I think, from the go out. It's this is their only show they're doing as they're coming out here. They don't have anything else booked. It's all out there. They know they said they're trying to go to Japan. At least they posted that in October. So I don't know if I was in Snapshot, I would imagine this is a good farewell show for at least the West Coast. So whether it ends up being maybe someone else wants to bring them out later on, that's a different thing. But if they end up doing it, it'd be awesome. Actually, if they
Right.
might end up doing it, but if they when they come out here and do it, it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be like it's going to have that special energy. And yeah, if you want to see them, you got to get to that show because it's most likely their last one in the West. If that's a band, if their last show ever was going to be November in Boston and I didn't get a chance, I would go to that show. Like if I didn't book them here, wherever their last show is, I would definitely fly out and go to it. So I guess I
Right.
selfishly also helped myself out here. Uh, but
Good job. You made it easy
yeah,
on
right.
yourself.
I only took all this. Um, but anyways, yeah, it's cool to have them and bands like are kind of like that definitely are part of their but from that tree. See, there's no I think CMI without a slap shot, there's no Skinhead without a slap shot and some of these other bands. So it's an excellent way for it to go.
Right. That's that's great. The question I meant to ask earlier, we kind of moved on from this a little bit, but at the main festival with that size of field, I'm using the field reference here, the
It's
size of
huge,
the
yeah.
area.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great thing to do. Just from being a punk rock bowling, they kind of have like a U shape, and you have to like walk, like squeeze through certain areas, and the merch
Yeah.
tables, which is good that you have to walk back and forth through the merch tables. I mean, that's all right, but it's a huge pain in the ass. Like if you want to see both
Yeah.
bands, it's shitty to get like right up close to one. And if you want to
Yeah.
be up close to the next band, you're just going to have to be that guy that pushes everybody else out of your way to get up close, as opposed to kind of, all I have to do is really turn around,
Yeah.
and I think that's nice. You don't really have to walk too far out of the way. You just take your step out of the way when you need a break, when you want to go check out the birds, the tattoos, and everything else going on. The question I really have, I guess, is capacity. Do you know what your max capacity is? And do you anticipate on getting there? So should people be, obviously should buy your tickets and you shouldn't wait, but some people will hold off if you live in San Diego because something might come up that weekend, or working on other travel arrangements before you get your ticket and those kind of things. For me personally, I've seen lineups before and I buy my ticket early because I'm like, oh shit, I don't want to miss it. So I want to make sure I get my ticket. So
Yeah.
what is your max capacity?
So our max is 3,000, so we have with the fire marshal, whatnot. Um, that's outside. Inside's a whole nother thing. But yeah, so to be out there is 3,000. The earlier you get your ticket, the cheaper. So that's good, so you're gonna save a couple
Right.
bucks. But yeah, you definitely want to sooner or later because yes, we expect that. Like Cold as Life alone, their shows are all like 3,000 people. It's in Detroit, but their show it's the very special thing to get the chance to see them. That's a big one, and to have all these bands with the expo and everything going on and all the elements. Yeah, that's what we're shooting for. That's the goal always. So you should definitely do it beforehand just to save yourself because particularly if you're going to be coming down and spending the night or whatever, you don't want to miss out on it because you waited till I've done that before. So, and
Right.
it sucks when everyone's going except you. I just did that with Sound and Fear. I couldn't go. Like I said, I just had a kid, but I'm just sitting there like, oh, it sucks watching everyone at something I fucking want to be at. So,
Right. And you
yeah.
never know when it's the last time, as you said, that you'll get to
Yeah.
see somebody. There's always something out there that, some band stops for whatever reason, cancels the tour. Next time they come on tour might not even be in your area. So, always take advantage when you can.
Everyone's like one comment that they left on MySpace 20 years ago from being canceled. So who knows who's going down next? you
Right.
know, that's honestly that's the main thing I'm waiting for. Because yeah, there's like, yeah, who's gonna drop? That's hopefully no one. No, I don't get that vibe from anyone, but you never know. But it's sometimes it's like this person's been MIA or these people like haven't posted anything. They're weird or I don't know. Maybe the last time I had a band or two drop, I could maybe say I saw it coming. But either way,
You don't really have something that locks people in, right? The festival's paying the bands. If the bands had to pay to hold the spot, which would be weird, but people would show up. But other than them telling you, and then obviously maybe creating a bad relationship, if a band drops off, there's not really anything completely negative for them. Obviously, people that wanted to see them will be bummed out, but for you personally, then you've got this spot and you were advertising, hey, this band's going to
yeah.
be there, and then they're not going to be there. So that kind of
And just don't
is
realize how shitty that looks on you when you put in this. I like one band in particular that I wouldn't work with again on a show that's coming up because of what they did on. Like you get promoted by the promoter. Like particularly if you're if you get added on, like you weren't in the original lineups. Now I got to promote you more so people know about you or whatever. You're just on the lineup. You're getting promoted. People are paying to go see you, and then you drop out. Yeah, that definitely like hits you in the gut as a promoter. They're going to take all the backlash from it. A lot of times when you see it too, see like a band drop out, there's always like a post from the promoter that looks salty, like unfortunately had to cancel and didn't really tell us why. So we're just going to move on and blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, all right, it's, you get stuck in this weird spot because, yeah, you are salty about it, but you don't want to sound like an asshole, but it is like a fucked up thing because you did put a bunch of time in it, but it is what it is. These things happen. So,
Right.
you know, I don't know. You can't really do much about it. The
Yeah. It depends on reasons. People have good reasons. You were talking about, I get a ton of notifications for a variety of music, and that classic rock band, I don't know how else to describe it, but that Steve Miller Band. People, if you know classic rock, you know Steve Miller Band. And I just got a notification this morning that they canceled their whole upcoming tour because they said that it's been really hot outside and places have flooded and other weather things, and they don't
That's
want to
true.
put people at risk by having shows and then people deciding to come out to their shows, and so they're going to cancel for that reason. And anybody that's put on a show now has to basically be like, oh, we're screwed because you guys don't, you're going to
Yeah.
mother everybody instead of letting people make their own free will decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't back a band like that. And I probably, I want to be positive because you never know who you're going to work with again. So you don't want to come off like an asshole. But at the same time, that's a circumstance I would want to be salty because it's like, hey,
Hmm.
you're not everybody's mother. If you say you're going to do a thing, go up, show it. If you're afraid for yourself, say that. Don't try to put it out like you're trying to be looking out for everybody else because they're incapable of looking out for themselves.
Yeah. I've seen a few bands cancel recently not off of like, we're sick, injury type thing, more off of like, this
Right.
is how we feel about this. Who just did it? The Oppressed just canceled all American shows, and they were playing a couple for one of my friends in LA. Just canceled all their American shows because they disagree with America, and I understand that. But that's been happening. Did you just start disagreeing, or because if you just start thinking like this, because you could have gave them, it's been this thought's been there for a while. Either way, you see stuff like that, and you're like, that's a
Yeah.
tough reason not to do a show or just these other things, but you never know. There's usually another reason. That's what I found out. Whether it's
Yeah.
something that they don't want to go public with or whatever that may be. A lot of times it's just better off just kind of saying something. Or, a lot of times it just also is how they feel about things that strongly. And they want to go with that.
Yeah.
It's
My
tough when it happens to you
question
though.
to them, not specifically them, but to somebody that comes up with that reason is who specifically are you teaching a lesson to? You teaching a lesson? Do you disagree with how people in those areas live? Or are you disagreeing with how the governments are executing their power and doing all of the things, right? So if you're a punk band and you cancel all your shows, do you think anybody that is making any of those decisions even heard of you or gives a shit about you?
All
Or
right.
are you just only affecting people that have really no choice in all of those decisions? So your
It's a really good
my
point.
your premise
Yeah.
is pretty poor. So my recommendation to any band out there like that, the people showing up to your shows aren't probably in support of it either, and really
Yeah.
have no say in those type of policies one way or the other. So who are you punishing?
Very well said, dude. Very well said. I can't say better. It's you really are, yeah, because are you going to stop everything from happening? Is the world going to change right now because you didn't play this show? It's very
Right,
true. It's just like you should probably better off just gathering with like-minded people, and if anything, discuss it with them.
right,
But don't take
right.
away
Show
that
up.
moment. Yeah, it doesn't make much sense to take away that moment. It's somehow if there was like profit involved for someone, okay. But if this is just like you're saying, yeah, 100%, it doesn't. We're not going to stop everything. The show's not going to. They're not listening to us. They're going to
They
mute
don't
us
give a shit
instantly.
about you if they've even heard of you. You know what I'm saying? The
Exactly.
people like who in any government, I can only speak for our government here, but I'm going to venture out and say probably just about any government anywhere is paying attention to punk bands or cares what punk bands, anything under the punk umbrella, hardcore bands, any of those styles.
Very,
Who
yeah.
cares from them, right?
Exactly.
Realistically, like what we were talking about with festivals, it's like minded people. When you disagree with an area, like I don't hate people in Russia because maybe I disagree with what government of Russia does. I don't hate them.
Mm.
I'm not going to be like,
Yeah.
hey, everybody in Russia is this. That's stupid, because I wouldn't want everybody to judge me outside of the US for things that the government does. I don't really have the power to tell them to do or not to do things. So I
Yeah.
don't want to be judged, and I wouldn't do that to anybody else. You pick any country anywhere with any sort of conflicts that whatever side people are on or disagreeing with, it's like I don't whether I choose to disagree or agree with any specific governments, it doesn't mean it changes one way or the other the people. Because again, I think we have a lot of people that probably disagree with a variety of choices in our country. So I'm going to assume it's the same elsewhere. And so I think it's better to go places, even where you might disagree with what governments are doing there, but to kind of create those relationships, those moments that, hey, let's gather people that kind of think like us, which might be different than these things we also disagree with. You can create something better instead of, hey, we disagree, so we're not going to show.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. It's people need to get together. We need these times, whether it's just being at that show or being with like-minded people, or whether it's something extreme like, views on what's going on, or just sharing that
Sure.
time and just having that. We don't get a lot of spaces, how many spaces we have we can go feel like normal around a bunch of like more than two other people. It's most places you go to, you're the only person that's into what you're into. So it's very rare that you can
Right.
find a place where there's more than two people maybe that are into what you do. They're manifestable of it. But like, yeah, like we got to keep those moments special. I'm going to take from ourselves. It's not going to do much.
Right. It's pick any of these bands that we're talking about that we enjoy, just specifically the bands on your festival, but so many of them share the same genre or similar sounds as so many other bands that we listen to. Where do you listen to music besides at home? You're driving in your car. Well, what if our car was the car that had the windows down, going through the neighborhood playing super loud? You're going to get very few people like, hell yeah, it's fucking awesome. Or you go to the gym, you're not going to get people saying, hey, turn that up. You keep it in your headphones, right? Because people are going to be, that's just courtesy. But it's
Yeah.
also, it's not the music playing over the loudspeaker at the gym either. I'm not like pulling my headphones off like, oh, they're playing stuff I want to listen to, so I'm going to listen to that. Or you're going into the store, or you're going to anywhere that's playing music. It's very seldom this style of music because it is a smaller group of us, just as you pointed out. So it's nice to recharge the batteries in that sense, fill the
Yeah.
cup, whatever the reference you want to make, but to get that where you get to go around people, even if you're,
Yeah.
as you pointed out, I show up alone all the time too. I might not even talk to too many people if it wasn't people I already
Yeah.
knew, but I still feel better having been around that energy
Yeah.
of people that liked what I like, even if I didn't have a conversation with anybody.
Yeah. You need to be in that, because otherwise you're just this nomad running around by yourself forever. Just you got to be back. You got to be back in the nest every once in a while. Be around. It's every time. Yeah, for sure. When you go to that show by yourself, right? I get the same feeling. I know exactly what you're talking. When you get there, it's just like I could totally not talk to anyone, and I totally feel at home, and I totally feel like I almost know him. I could talk to anyone here the entire time. It's just
Right.
I don't know. We both talk a bunch for work, so we're already talked out probably by the time we get to show. But the point is, it's like,
Right.
yeah, it's it's something where you got to be back in your community. It's that feeling of being in your community amongst other people, and you need that. And it's different. Our lifestyle is totally different than everyone else's. Like the commercial radio person hears their community everywhere they go all the time, and it's nonstop. It's like us. We're like, dude, there's one record store 30 miles from here where we might find something, and someone that we can connect to on this. Otherwise, it's that show. So don't take them,
That's
keep
totally
them.
it. Right. And you never know. I went to Crash Festival 2 years ago, right? And I haven't been to San Francisco before that. It was when it was in San Francisco. And anytime I travel to shows, especially like multi-day shows, that's what I'm filling my day with. I'm going to checking out the record stores. And I went to San Francisco, and I think I went into probably like 6 or 7 total record stores. One of them was a punk
Yeah.
record store that had a huge variety. Another one had a couple things here and there. Wasn't a lot, but it was worth at least checking out. All the other ones, not whatsoever. There was nothing. It was, for me, a waste of time because it was nothing that I was going to spend any money on. Definitely nothing that related to what I wanted to hear. And I like a variety of music. I listen to A variety of music that came from the 70s and 80s too, and there's still nothing that I was even into. That's why it doesn't have to be a
Wow.
punk shop, but still, you never know where you're going to go and how far you might have to drive to kind of get some sense of that. So you take advantage of the shows when you can.
Yeah, totally, totally, man. I mean, everyone's got like every city's got two or three shops. Nobody's over all over town, and particularly if you want to promote a show, you got to go all over the place to get these flyers. But San Diego's got a couple good shops hanging in there. I'm actually surprised. They're actually pretty good. Last time I was in Boston, Boston used to have the best record shop. I used to be a big record collector, record trader. I used to do all the trades back in the day on eBay. And I had a ton of stuff from the East Coast and a ton of stuff from the West Coast. And I was big with Oi. I had a huge Oi collection, but then I was huge into grindcore after that, a huge grindcore collection. So whenever I got into a different genre, I could easily trade and stuff like that. And San Diego had some awesome shops. And there's still actually a couple tanks still there. Bread Brontosaurus is the really good one. They actually still do shows. There's some cool DIY ones. So it's the bloodline's still there here.
Good. That's awesome. Well, that was a bit of a deviation from the festival.
Yeah.
uh, let's talk just a little bit more about the overall lineup because it's so big on the festival day. Who were some bands that you were just like, hell yeah? Because how do you go around
Sure.
booking that many bands? Like, do you just say, scroll through like this band would be cool, find their contact
It's
information, and just be like, hey, I'm doing a festival. Are you interested? How does that work?
Yeah, it was very interesting putting the fest together because it was something where I haven't had the fest before, so I didn't know what it was going to be. Every fest, if you look at it, has like a flavor to it. Like Sound and Fury has like a certain type of flavor to it, or This Is Hardcore has a certain type of flavor to it. Punk in the Park has a certain flavor to it. You know, kind of what you're going to see at those. Like I know I'm not going to see TSOL at Sound and Fury, for example. So me, I'm like, oh, what is my flavor? What is this show going to be? I have experience with hardcore. I have experience with punk. I definitely wanted to do both, but it was something where, like I said, I was going to build the show kind of around the headliner. Who's it going to be, and how am I going to do that? So, with Cold as Life was something that was the biggest one where I was like, I can't believe, and they were like one of the first bands I got. I knew which local bands like Section Hate and Desmadre and Mongrel and um like Broken Cuffs and Bar Sam. Like I've worked with those bands before. Those bands are awesome. I'm huge fans of their music and friends of those guys. They're awesome. But it's like, how are we gonna build this thing? So start at the top and kind of work our way down. What's at the top? Okay, so we have uh, super Cold as Life is like the easiest guys to work with. Jeff is awesome. I talk with him frequently. Him and Dom from A389. They're just been really great to work with. And without them and without Dom particularly, Cold as Life's not doing their thing. And so he's awesome. And it wasn't like, what have you done? What's it going to be? Like just kind of breaking balls and like kind of trying to highball me. I won't say the band's name. I had one band. I'll tell you after the highballing on them was just unreal. And I'm like, are you fucking insane right now? Like the number you're saying is fuck. Like I didn't get at any of that from like Cold Life. They were just like, this is a cool show. I like it. Love San Diego. The time of year sounds great. Kind of like what we're talking about. And I'm like, man, because at this point, like what I got right now to go to people is this is the vision. And then I got Cold as Life. What do you you got that's got to be like kind of how you play the game, right? And when you start out beginning as a promoter, like what's your leverage? I have an amazing layout, I have amazing weather, I got a great team. Right now I got Cold as Life and then where we're going from there. So with that, it turned in like I said, okay, this is definitely the hardcore side, but I want this to be a proper punk hardcore show. What's my punk band? And to me, TSOL is just that band that just to me represents the most like true Southern California, like punk rock, like legacy, like they're really big for us here. Yeah, we see them a lot here in Southern California, but like internationally, everyone loves them. I love what they did, how they kind of even the stuff they did without Jack, where it's kind of more gothy style. But their original stuff, like that's the origins to me of Southern Cal or just their California hardcore punk rock. Because our hardcore punk rock is not like Agnostic Front or SSD, early SSD or some of that stuff. It's Black Flag, it's TSOL, it's Circle Jerk. So to be able to get a band like that on my show, it's another one like Cold as Life. I'm like honored to have them, man. This band, like as a kid, you watch them, in suburbia and you hear their music, and like every time I hear some of those songs, it's almost like I feel like I'm in the fucking movie. It's very nostalgic for me. So particularly growing up in that. I grew up right in the town where we're having the show. So just, I remember being 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old, like psychopath with all my psycho friends listening to TSOL, driving around Cadillacs, just being maniacs. And now they're fucking playing. So I was like, hell yeah, this is fucking awesome. Now I got these two awesome bands. So I'm going to build under them. And I've booked Slapshot previously on their last time out here, and that's a band since I started the firm. Like the first pitch I ever had to a band to do a collab was with Jack for to do a collab with Slapshot, who just shut that fucking thing down, dude. Don't ever try to just go and have a conversation with Choke. He'll just make you feel like a fucking idiot. I didn't know that guy's just cold, bro. He don't give a fuck. Even when I booked him the next time, I was like, hey, remember when I saw you? He's like, yep. Well, I tried to talk to him. It's just one word. Don't talk. You don't talk much. And I didn't either way. So that was a tough way to start doing this thing. But that's how I met them originally. And it was cool. I met Packer through some mutual friends and stuff after that, and booked their show. We had a cool one here with Sheer Terror, but I had them on a Wednesday. And I really wanted to bring them back out again. Somehow I was talking to their agent, like, hey, you doing a tour with them? And one, we were talking for months. Like, if you do, obviously I'll go to your San Diego show, whatever. And ended up where they didn't have a tour, but I'm like, well, fuck, if they're gonna tour, I gotta bring them back out. So this was gonna be a two headline show, but let's do a triple head. Fuck it. What else? I don't have nothing else to lose. No one tells me anything. It's just me doing this. Who'd have to consult with my
Right.
8-year-old daughter and my 6-year-old son? You guys like this logo? Did you guys see a lot of people liking this logo? Is it good? Cool. It's not a hockey team, but either way, so it's it was cool. So then it ended up being Slapshot TSOL close. I'm like, oh yeah, now that's a fucking party. And then it's just like, let's just go down the line. Who's the Slapshot fan? And that's how I went from there. I went, okay, like I was talking about, like, okay, that Slapshot fan's gonna love seeing that CMI set before them with the Ignite and freaking that Skinhead set and Barrio saying like that fan's rolling. And then I'm like, okay, now let me look at my Coldest Life fans. Just like I was saying earlier, you got all those heavy bands, and then same thing with PSOL. That's really how I built it. But initially I had no game plan. I was like, where am I? Like, how am I gonna? Not no game plan. I didn't say no game plan. I wasn't like, this is going to be a three-headed monster, and I'm gonna go right down the middle with all three. It's just how it ended up being. I knew I wanted both punk hardcore. I just didn't know how it was gonna happen.
I think when you're doing it for the first time or maybe less experienced with it, you know what I mean? If you haven't done a festival for 5, 10, 15 years, whatever, regularly, then of course you're going to have some sort of a game plan, but it's got to be one of those flexible things, right? Like learn as you go, like, all right, I'm going to pivot from here because original plan or original thoughts, I need to add to, drop this idea, something like that. I'm
Yeah.
sure as you were, when you first came up with hey, I'm going to do a festival, you probably weren't thinking triple headliner, like you just said, but it just turned out that that's what it is. So now you're pivoting and going down that path and building on the new parts of the idea.
Yeah, and I want the fest to have the idea of like, you don't ever know what genre you're gonna get in there. Like, it's an open-minded genre. I'd say punk and hardcore, but I would love to have like um get some two-tone in there, get some cool reggae, or even possibly even like some hip hop. We were when this initially started, I was gonna look at it with the another Southern California promotional company. We were looking at bringing just like some old school Southern California Chicano hip hop, mix it up a little bit. Didn't end up working out with them, so the whole thing fell apart. But I was like, it's a cool thing too. So you never know kind of what you're gonna. If it sounds cool and it works, do it. You know. So whichever way it happens, I think, like I said earlier, like most people kind of like a little bit of everything. I think when you're younger, like I said, you kind of like sticking in your lane that you're in at that moment. But then after you've kind of listened to everything, you're kind of nice to hear this and then go heavy to like melody or something like that. And I think that's cool with hardcore now, how there's so much different genres and styles. I keep thinking about Sound and Fury because I just kind of got turned on to Basement from, I've always kind of known who they are, but never really listened to much of them. And I'm like, I can't believe this band played with all those other bands. They're a really good band, but it's such a wild change. So it's cool to see so much that you can do with music and people a little bit more open-minded. There's even, there's sometimes you got like more pop punk style bands like a No Pressure playing with like these heavy hardcore bands. So it's fun to see the mix up that's going on now and how you can play with it and work with it. Because when I was younger, it was like the punk bands play with the punk bands, and they have to because there's also a safety thing. The hardcore kids, they don't fuck with the punk kids, particularly when I'm in Boston. So you can't do a hardcore show and a punk show combined together. You'll fucking everyone will die. Well, at least all the me and my friends are getting the shit kicked out of us. That's for sure. And it's our show. So what the point is, you like Blood for Blood would sometimes do it. I went to a lot of Blood for Blood shows, and they're musically in the middle with, in my opinion, is kind of the punk and the hardcore. But sometimes the hardcore kids coming into punk shows, it's like bad fucking scene. But now you can do it. It's so cool. So much shit you can do now, and there's like really it's an open book on musically however you want to do it. So it's that I think has been the coolest thing to kind of really see and be able to do and see with the fest and see with everyone. Makes it a lot
Yeah,
more fun.
I really enjoy mixed bills. I like all genres of punk and anything that falls under the umbrella punk, hardcore, oi, ska, you name it. Any of the take one of those prefixes, suffixes, throw a core at the end or
Sure,
whatever. You
right?
know what I mean?
Core everything.
And I like them all. And to be fair, there's plenty in each of those genres. I'm like, it's not really my, but it's not that the sound isn't, just maybe that band isn't my thing. But I like all of them. And, I go watch a bunch of skinhead bands when they come through Salt Lake. And then you get the bands like Haywire, like you're wearing right there. And you see such a good variety, like the guys that are at those skinhead oi shows, but then the guys that I would see at the hardcore shows, and everybody's together at that show having
Yeah,
just a great time because you get bands like that. And I think Skinhead and CMI also fall under that
yeah,
specific umbrella. And it's really cool because you can go enjoy so much. It's like the Warp Tour. That was probably the first big fest that I went to back in the mid 90s. And it was
same.
smaller
Yeah,
even then, but they did a good job of, they had enough stages and would bring in enough variety that you could do that. And then I went to the last couple that they went through. And that I say, in a sense, that's essentially what you're doing is kind of filling that void. You're just not worrying about bringing in the pop punk bands and the emo bands, because I think at the end it was probably like 50 to 75% pop punk bands and emo bands, and then they'd had a lot less of the hardcore bands and stuff like that mixed in their last couple of
yeah.
years.
The Warped Tour. I mean, just speaking on those guys, they got pretty wild with their lineups. But I will say to them, like I think their last one they did in San Diego, they did have some pretty cool shit in there. But yeah, very maybe they're maybe if we really look at this, maybe they're the ones we got to thank for this being able to do such a big genre and everyone's happy and this isn't a crazy thing to see.
Right.
Maybe we really got to thank them more because yeah, if you they're a big inspiration. They got everything out there. I went to the last one here.
Right.
I've been to a ton of them since like you said, since the '90s. But yeah, the last one's like, wow, here's Goldfinger, and here's Guar, and here's Hatebreed, and here's Municipal Waste. They had like
Right.
a nice little thing. Even the one they got this year, it's got literally everyone. Hard to do a show a month
I
after, or a couple months after them, but yeah, a lot of stuff
They
going
always
on.
had
So
such a cool variety too. Like I saw
so
back in the '90s, I saw Eminem right after his first
yeah,
album came
yeah,
out. I saw Ice T doing Ice T stuff, but it was right after Body Count had put out
yeah,
like their first album too. And so you got to see a bunch of cool things. And I think in the grand scheme of things, and maybe there's somebody out there I'm not thinking of, but I think you're right. It's Warped Tour. That's who you have to thank, because you pick any of these other festivals, they're typically once a year at that location, right? Or that
yeah,
city. And Warped Tour traveled around. So more people got to experience that atmosphere as opposed to, there's some people that see like your case, you see the punk rock bowling lineup, but you don't go, you have something else. It's not in your hometown and something else comes up for you. So you never end up going, as opposed to, well, Warped Tour came to
mm,
regionally. I mean, they spent the whole summer, so they covered the US pretty well. Plus they did pre-Warped Tour over in Europe before that, so they would get that type of experience as well. So I
mhm.
think you hit it on the
Yeah,
head. It's probably Warped Tour to thank for having such a
yeah.
cool mixed bill ability and people like being into the mixed bill shows.
Yeah, that was big in San Diego and Southern California. I mean, always was, but like when it started in the mid '90s, late '90s, that era, that was just the biggest thing here. But showing everyone going around the country, showing everybody, hey, there's mixed shows are fun, like mixed genres. There's a lot of cool shit. Going around showing it to everyone's maybe everyone kind of owes them a little bit more. But yeah, back to this fest though. the
Yes.
um the fest definitely great influence from a lot of awesome people around here. But yeah, the idea for the fest, like I said, it's something where the initial plan is to do a 2 year in San Diego and to get to Boston and do one there. And it's lucky that I have the team and um, the guys to be able to do this thing if it if it works right and the thing goes well. So it's something where yeah, maybe we keep falling down back to those guys who work towards the line and kind of start moving with this thing a little bit more. You never know where it's going to go. So initially that's like the game plan, and then we'll see, okay, where does it go from here? Is that where it stops, or is that, the beginning of it? Because there's a lot of great expos alone that just travel all year and, they do really cool. And I think the only thing cooler would be to have really cool bands with them, you know?
Right? Collaboration.
Yeah. Everyone loves tattoos and hardcore and punk rock. It's all the same love. It's all the same family. One of our
Right?
promoter or presenters, Tattoo Punks, they just travel all over all year long, just going to these exact events. So they hit it on the head, that's for sure.
Well, are there any specific bands that people might not know?
Yeah.
Obviously, we've talked about a lot of the top, tiered bands there, and people are going to know them. I mean, if you don't go to the show, because you won't be disappointed, because you book some really great bands that have been around, but maybe some of the
Yeah.
bands that are lower build, newer bands, maybe not as well known, or there's some that you're just like, hell yeah, these are great. People are going to
Mhm.
love them because, though they may not know, and, the number of people may not know them at this point.
Yeah. Something like this show, it's always important for me to the bands that are really I really like that are up and coming to get them on there and help them get their shot and help them to get their chance to move up and take this opportunity and help generate even more momentum, even more opportunity for them. So for me, you had mentioned some earlier tracks. I absolutely love that band. They're a new oi band from San Diego. You can check them out on Spotify. It's spelled TRAXX. Um, they have, I think, 4 or 5 songs on there. But in that genre of that new wave oi that everyone's really cranking out, a lot of people are doing, and they play some really awesome, catchy riffs, some awesome melody. Just I really, really fuck with that band. I think they're going to be a band that's going to be. I mean, sometimes you got bands that are kind of like they can't really lead too much. You don't know why. Maybe it's because their parent. This is like a side thing for them. But if these guys are like down to do it, I hope they take it and take their opportunities that they get from it. That's a band that I put them on the pre-show too because I really like them and I want to get them out in front of more people. Um, Also on the show, Broken Cuffs is another band that I like a lot. They're a band that I think I particularly like them so much because they remind me a lot of East Coast street punk era, Blank 77 kind of pogo style, early Casualties, that kind of thing. That was like my first love in when it got to street punk. So they really remind me of that. They're from Southern California. They're always going to be like that band playing the local band with the GBHs and the Exploiteds and stuff like that. So everyone knows around here, but yeah, definitely them. And another band that I really, really love, Barrio Slam. They're in that fast kind of hardcore. I love some of my favorite hardcore is just pure like Slapshot, just pure fast. Straight edge hardcore usually does just pure fast. I like it. But then they'll hit it with that, but then they'll hit it with some cool chuggy like two-step parts. Then they'll hit it with some of the more new kind of beat downy hardcore parts. But it's got a really, really good blend of it. Like from the first time I heard them, when I did my SummerSlam Fest, I didn't hear them or come across them till too late into my bookings, but I still, got them in there at least for the pre-show. And so I'm stoked to bring them back in on it and get them there. A lot of the bands like Mongrel is a band that I've been putting on since I heard about them, pretty much since they started. They just did an amazing set, Sound of Fury. That's pretty wild. They're a band where it's they everyone all over the country wants to see them. They just don't get to tour as much for whatever, or don't even do touring for whatever reasons, or even leave this general vicinity. Kind of things like where you want to see these guys, you got to get over here and see them. So, uh, Mongrel's another one though that it's up and coming. That was one of the bands I really wanted to make sure I got on this bill. And all the bands I just spoke of too, all different genres. Mongrel, you're looking at death metal, hardcore, like heavy hardcore, where we're talking about street punk to new wave oi, that kind of thing. But and then with the kind of like in that middle range, I added them a little bit later. But man, I was super super excited to get on Skinhead. Skinhead, my opinion, just put out probably the best new album, or at least top three new album of the year. I'm obsessed with them. I've loved that band since I heard them. I don't know if maybe I kind of connect with them more because it's got some Boston stuff in it here and there, and I connect. And it's nostalgia for me, but I don't know. This the it's like we were describing it as like slam poetry style, but whatever you call it, I think it's awesome. I think the riffs are awesome. The new album is, yeah, I can't put it down. So to get them on there, I'm just like, like I said, I like them so much. I'm such a big fan. I even got them on the pre-show when I was able to get them. So that half their band was already there playing it. So I'm like, the rest of you guys are in LA. Like two guys in LA, and there's like one guy in Connecticut. Let's just get the guy over here for Connecticut, and then the rest of your band's right here. They're like half of Section 8, or there's some Section 8 guys and some conservative military image guys. So I'm like, shit, this should work. And I didn't know the album was coming out, and I just knew they had a song or two out that I heard. That thing came out, and like, because I listen every day, so you always promoters, you always kind of look at the numbers of streams. I'm like, what? These guys have jumped up like 10,000 listens since yesterday. Holy shit, these guys are on fire right now. So
Right.
yeah, I was like, these guys will probably blow up, but you don't know because they don't play that much. And now they, yeah, that thing that worked out great. Where timing, and that's going to be the album of the summer, and everyone's going to be singing that thing, and it'll be cool to see some of these bands. I like to say, I've seen some of them, but it's always like in front of 200 people. Let's see them in front of 2,000 people, because all 2,000 people there listen to that album. They all know the lyrics. It'd be cool for them to get that moment. Okay, this is now going to be big like that. So them and conservative military image is the other one where I really wanted to hang my hat, have in the show, and give a proper place in there. And people are really excited to see them. I was talking about them earlier, but just kind of the same thing where let's see them in front of 2,000 plus people, and let's do this big and go wild with it. That's going to be fun, because it's not a band where people. I guess my one thing with some of the beatdown and some of the crazy bands is a lot of people don't go near the stage because they're just fucking horrifying. Where you to get just cracked, and you're just trying to chill, and you're just some young girl or some kid or whatever, or like some older guy, whatever. You never, whoever you don't want to get smashed. So sometimes that creates such a big like horseshoe around the pit, and I fucking hate it. So I like when bands like CMI or it's more sing along bands go on, because then it's way more upfront, way more fun. I think it also creates that energy that you want of just singing and picking each other up and let's do this and fucking just I love that. So they're a band that has that. I think to the max. They did a great job with their stage performance and getting the crowd involved and making it a fun fucking show with people just flying everywhere. So like I said, just take that out of 200 like the last show, and let's do it 2,000 people. So that's the idea. And then the other guys kind of speak for themselves. A lot of them, like the local guys, or not the local guys, but the Southern California, just big time Desmadres and Section Hates, and a lot of those guys that kind of they're just out there. You expect to see them at this show. It would be weird if they weren't playing at this show. So those
Right.
guys, and then other guys like DI and Total Chaos, they totally speak for themselves.
I think you put together a great lineup. I'm definitely going to see if I can
Thank you.
get there because there's just certain festivals I see them and I'm like, yeah, it'd be cool to see a couple of those bands. So if it works out great. And then there's other ones that you put and you're like, all right, now I got to try to figure out how I'm going to get there because it's not going to be disappointing. Because even the couple bands I didn't know or haven't seen, you can tell when you've put a lineup like this together. Like if I was talking about punk rock bowling, if I was into Power Trip and I didn't know any of those other bands that played on that day, then I might have been disappointed because it was definitely a strange choice for punk rock bowling to put Power Trip on the day they put them on. They should have put them on probably either of the other 2 days. But I
Yeah.
mean, it may, I guess sometimes schedules line up when they line up. So in that case, you might not have been as happy with some of the other stuff unless you like a variety. But here, when it's like, oh, I like that band, and I like that band, and I like that band, and that
Yeah.
one, and that one, and you're just working your way down the list, and then there's a handful. It's like, well, I haven't seen them, I don't know them, I should probably check them out if they're going to be included with all these other great bands that I like. So, and that's so cool that that I don't want to say it's easy. It's going to be difficult to do a music fest and say, all right, food trucks come in because we can sell some food and beverages, right? But you're doing the complete day of entertainment where it's like, go check out all the art, go check out all the tattoos, go check
Yeah.
out all the cool merch. Because again, I'm like
Yep.
you. My closet is probably 80+% black band t-shirts, and then I got about like 20% of all the other colors when I see a shirt I really like, but I just don't wear them that often because every time I go to wear it, I'm like, no, I'm just going to pick a black one. But
Right. 100%.
but still, it's a constant addition. If I travel to a show, I know that I need to leave space in my suitcase because I'm going to be bringing
Oh
back
yeah.
more than I showed up with.
I'm always buying, probably my first purchase is a string bag because I'm gonna start buying stuff and I don't want to lose it. I want to tuck it in my shirt. Like my first purchase is a string bag. Let me get a cool fast string or whatever. Let me find a cool one. What's this cool boutique? All right, I'm gonna buy yours. And then I'm just gonna start getting shit, get this for my kids. This is the cool shirt. I want this. I guess these be my shorts for the next 5 years. And that's how I
Right?
go shopping, to the point of
Right?
my wife is going to fucking kill me if I get another fucking shirt. She likes now. I try to now that I'm 4, I try to do more Fred Perry, give her a little break or whatever. She likes that shit. But then if she sees me open up something else, she's like, "What the fuck? Where are you gonna put that?" I had to get a storage unit because I was my closet. I have like 300 of them. And I folded them as perfect as I could to make it as useful. But no, it is what it is. But yeah, merch is awesome. It's a fun thing. And to me, I was trying to describe to one of my friends. I'm like, it's a way. It's like a tattoo where you're describing, you're showing who you are. You're describing this is what I am, this is what I'm about. And it's also like putting up a flag to see who else knows that. Like I live in like I moved far away town, like off suburbs type family stuff now. But when I'm walking down the street and when I was walking in the store the other day and the one guy somehow knew my agnostic front sweatshirt, I talked to the guy for like 25 minutes. So it's kind of like we're kind of always just waving this little flag with our merch, like, if anyone's into this shit, let me know. Because I'll talk to you. But otherwise I'm
Right?
just walking around. Just
Right?
no one realizes that the public doesn't realize we're just waving these flags, hoping someone might be down. Or this is what we're about, just like a tattoo.
Absolutely. And you get to kind of show off something that maybe somebody put into because, again, I'm with you. I enjoy those. But every once in a while, I've heard like I go to the gym and the guy looks at my shirt. He's like, "Hey, that's a really cool shirt. What is it?" And I tell him, "Oh, it's a
Right?
band that's out of North Carolina." He's like, "Oh, that's awesome." So we might not have a conversation about the music because you didn't know them, but at least the band puts something cool together that somebody that has no idea whatsoever says to
Yeah.
me, like, "Hey, I really like that. That's really cool." So if nothing else, not that that always ever gets back to the band, but I think that most bands, if they put something out there and heard a compliment or two, they've got to know that anybody wearing their stuff's probably getting the same type of compliments.
And it's also the individual's way of supporting that band. Like I love Haywire, I love Boston Hardcore. So this is my way of like supporting both of them. If I go out to a show and I wear the shirt, or just in general, just wearing it, whatever. So I think it's kind of feel like you're doing your part as well to promote your scene and
Right.
that kind of thing. So yeah, I think merch goes along. It goes a different way. Like I think you may see it totally different, and like the merch heads totally see it different than kind of like everyone else. Because I mean, I'll get to like collecting merch. I'll be on eBay like buying stupid, probably fake $700 fucking Slayer shirts, but fucking going through the thread counts and shit. I love it. I've got actually some vintage merch people coming in as well to the show with stuff like that. I don't know if someone's gonna buy $500 Slayer shirts, but who knows? They've gone up.
Right.
There's some that are like 1,500, 2,000. They get really, really like crazy when you get like deep in the merch trade world. Like ones with dates and the like 1985 tour, boom boom, all the places they played. I did a collab with Special Duties, and I was like, you guys are doing a tour. I'm like, even though all these other shows aren't my show, let's put it on here and show the shirt will be the shit in like 20 years. No matter what, it just gets
Right.
cooler with age. So when I go to shows, I try to always get the ones that they have for the tour. Because you can't really wear a tour shirt that year. People are like, oh, you just got that shirt, Would you just become a fan? That's what I feel like if I were to
Right.
wear this shirt. But if I wear it 15 years, it just to me gets cooler with age. And I'll remember that one time I bought it.
Absolutely. I've got a bunch of casualty shirts like that. For a while, they were coming through Salt Lake. It seemed like about every year. I think
Yeah.
3 or 4 years in a row, I got the tour shirt.
Yeah, definitely. I think my first real punk purchase was like at a street punk show was when I went to go see the Casualties at the For the Punks release album in like 96 or 97 in Boston. It was
Wow.
one of the biggest, not the biggest, but it was a really big show for me because it was my first street punk show. But Tribal War Records was there, who was a really, really big record label at the time, and they brought their whole distribution, and they had like everything. And I've never had access to everything, like all the oldest stuff you hear about, everything you ever wanted is right there. And for some reason at the show, I think I had like $30 somehow. And back then, $30 went a lot. So I bought like 4 or 5 CDs, got a couple patches, saw the Casualties for the first time, bought For the Punks, still love it just as much as I did then. That was a that was a big one for me because before that it was like the Queers and like Texas is the Reason and some of these other shows. And when I went to that, I was like, oh, whoa, this is underground punk rock. This is street punk. This is insane. That's a band I really wanted to get on this show. That's the band I will hopefully get them next year. But they play out here a lot too. You would think they're from fucking California, how much they play here. You wouldn't even like every time I see them, I don't think them barely even play New York shows. Like back in the day, it was just New York, New York, New York. And whenever they come to Boston and Philly and a couple other little things, but it's just New York and Boston and the areas around it. And now they're here so much. Yeah, like coming through Salt Lake makes sense because they're always out west.
Yeah,
But
good turnouts. And it's definitely a style of punk that I think fits with a lot of West Coast styles of punk too.
it's very circle pity. West Coast loves circle
Yeah,
pit, style shit. I was trying to describe that last time I was talking about this is yeah, West Coast fast circle pits are different than East Coast. Like they don't even do back in the day, they didn't even do circle pits. They don't even really they do them, but not like as much as it's just like a staple here. Just right away, circle it up. But casualties fits, yeah, they definitely fit that mold for sure.
right.
It'd be
Yeah,
interesting to see the
absolutely.
dynamics at Death or Glory when because you have circle pit and then you have like run for your life pit. So it's how do these all? It's one of the things I'm interested to see how it lines up because I'm definitely not going to stack it up where you create a horseshoe pit the whole time. So that's going to create an actual pit where you can't, unless everyone decides just to run right when the band starts, people will already be in that front area. So we got to actually have the hardcore kids and the punk rock kids all got to figure it out and stop running because eventually there's nowhere to go because there's only the stages are
Right.
right here. There's no more horseshoes. I'm literally trying my hardest to eliminate it. I'm about to make like a sign or something for the screen just to have it on there. Show the image of it and then cross it out. You know what I'm talking about, right? When it's just that whole open
Yeah,
space because no one wants to go up
yeah.
front and everyone's
It's going to
just
be like the outside edges of the stage. You
yeah.
got the wall, and then the wall just kind of horseshoe, like you said, and then everybody, whoever's left, there's probably, if there's 200 people, there's probably like 10 people on the
The
inside, and
band.
everybody else is on the outside.
Yeah. It's 190 people 30 yards away and then 10 people up front beating the fucking shit out of each other. But I think it takes away the stage diving and then it takes away the sing-alongs and then it takes away, I think, a little bit of the fun. So I'm trying to create this strategy. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't at all. Who knows?
Well, good luck with that. I hope that works out for you. It seems like you put enough thought into it, but you can never predict what people are going to do.
Right, right. We'll see.
The best options. Well, is there anything we haven't covered about the fest? I think before we got started, you might have mentioned that there might be cars or something like that there to also
Oh,
check out.
yeah.
Is that like something else that
Yes.
we should cover?
It's not going to be as big of a car show. We're going to probably have like 5, 6 cool hot rods there. There'll be bikes set up. The majority, I don't want to jump in too much of the merch mall space and the vendor area. So if more space opens up, we are still kind of tinkering around with little areas. But yeah, then we'll have some hot rods. Obviously, Harley's going to have a lot of cool stuff. Cool vintage motorcycles out. It's kind of like almost like a museum in there, between what they're selling and just cool bikes they have. So we're gonna have a lot more cool stuff set up out there. So it'll be a lot of cool stuff to just walk around and see. Most people, particularly in Southern California, we we can ride Harleys and we can have hot rods all year long, because of our weather. Like when I was in the East Coast, particularly I went back there for college. I was like, oh wait, everyone's got to put their Harleys away, and there's no lowriders or hot rods anywhere because of winter. Duh. So out here we have have so much cool stuff. So it's awesome. Death or Glory tattoo shop from Las Vegas actually is just bringing out some of their hot rods. So big thank you to them. They're just bringing them out just to be homies and help just put some cool stuff to the event. So I'm excited for that. They actually own a hot rod shop as well too that they're going to be incorporating. So as much as we can, but the idea is for lots of stuff to see and check out. Just more the better. I mean, we want to do some other stuff too. Even get into we're going to be doing live tattooing outside. We're doing walk up, so people can walk up and get tattooed outside if you got 20 minutes or you got that depends what size tattoo you got. But if you want to chill for an hour and a half, you can just walk up and get tattooed. Go check out Harley's for a while. Go back out there. Go stage dive. Do whatever the fuck you want. A lot of stuff. This is I think the big thing is that we're trying to bring this. Like I said earlier, we're trying to make this a thing, not make this an event. We're trying to make it a thing that lasts and that we do, and we make it a tradition. And you said it really well earlier of bringing everyone together, lovers of tattoos and lovers of this music and of this counterculture. Let's all get together and let's all have our weekend, really. Just like they kind of do for some of these other events. Now it's time for this one, and that that element to come together.
And it's your own type of thing. Like I said, there's plenty of types of shows in California, I guess, plenty of festivals, but not specific like this one, right? Like Punk in the Park is completely different. It's full of fat record style bands, which you guys are
Yeah,
not doing. So it's not like a competition. Like, all right, I got to wait and go to the one festival because all the festivals will play the same type of bands. It's another festival that is its own thing. So if you're into
yeah,
a variety, California, obviously even Southern California, is a great place to be because there's probably one really great one each month. So you can definitely go check those out. And it's really cool that September's like that. I didn't realize San Diego, you're more summertime. We're quite a bit further north here. So September is still warm but cooling off. And so it's probably really great to jump into something like that.
yeah. No, it'll be perfect weather at that time of year. It's that element will just be on point. But yeah, in terms of kind of like just the whole breakdown of the whole thing, it's an element of perfect timing and you know perfect music and just bring a lot of different all ages, all genres, all everything. So the idea would be to kind of grow on for this for years, and that for us to just keep growing with this thing. Maybe I'll do the space one day.
That would be cool. I mean, it's a great facility. It sounds like, especially if you can do 3,000. But yeah, not a bad problem to have if you're going to be able to outgrow it.
No, no, it's one of those things. Yeah, if that ever happens, that'd be great. But no complaints. It's the facility and the infrastructure. It's really this whole thing kind of starts with having the perfect infrastructure that's just luckily already there, and luckily we don't have to deal with the city and go through all that because it's privately owned. So you couldn't ask for a better layout for the day. And we're also it's right up, it's pretty much on the beach. It's right on the highway, so you're not going to be blasted by like desert heat. It's going to be perfect weather. It's going to be uh, you're going to be able to survive that kind of hot. If it is an 85-degree day, you'll still get that beach wind and that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a huge inside and everything to cool off in areas and stuff like that. So food, we're gonna get some really good food trucks. Yes, we haven't talked about the food, but yeah, it's definitely getting. California is known for its amazing food trucks. San Diego is an amazing food city, an amazing food truck city. So I'm getting for the best that we have here. So definitely be some good eating too.
The whole day, which is perfect, right? Because that's what you want to be able to do. What time of day does it start? So, I
Yeah,
always
this
recommend people start early because you never know who you're going to miss. Even if you look at the lineups and say, I
mhm,
don't know the first handful of bands, with a lineup like this, you make the
starts
whole day
quick.
of it. Show up, see all the bands. What time of day should people be showing up?
Yeah, so this is a noon start time. Let's see, we're gonna do gates are gonna open up at 11:30. VIP is gonna open at 11, so we'll get more time to get merch and get in there and whatnot without any lines. But yeah, bands are gonna start at noon. And it starts quick. By 1 o'clock, 1:30, you're getting into like international or it should be national touring bands. You're getting into these big time heavy hitters, and like I said, it starts quick because it's such a loaded bill. Some of these bands that be headlining a lot of shows are going to be up pretty early. Bands that are just on fire right now are going to be up really early. So you want to get there early. It's if you want to spend, and the other thing about getting there early is more parking, make it easier. But either way, you spend the day there so you can. The idea is it's set up for you to spend the day there, like we're talking about. Like if you want to chill for a while, you don't know the opening bands. That's your time to go check out the tattoo. Actually, you could get lost in the expo for hours. That's what I do when I go. It's just that alone is kind of like a day. And then just with the merch and just you could find yourself but looking through records for another couple hours. It's very easy. Your time get eaten up. We should be ending by 8:30. But the time's gonna go by quick. So I mean, if it's me, I'm getting there early. I'm gonna put the set times out soon, just so people can plan accordingly. And they can see like I should get there soon. The set time looks like basically what it looks on the flyer. I mean, it's maybe actually a little bit different than it looks on the flyer because I am gonna move some bands, like I said, that traditionally kind of would play a little bit maybe earlier in a fest like this with some bands like that've been around as long as they have, but I'm gonna kind of put them a little bit later Um, but either way, like it's it's something where all day long you got something going on. Because like if you're there to see that 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 last band or the one of those last three bands, there's going to be bands that you like all day long that lead up to you. So it's meant for you to be there all day long. Because like we're talking about Power Trip, that fan had to wait till the end of the show, unfortunately, to see them or whenever they played. So all day you're kind of chill. Like when I went to go see Misfits at Riot Fest, it was like a long day, man. I mean, there's a couple bands that when I first went to go the first Riot Fest, but it's kind of a lot of these things where like I got to travel over there and it's been here. It's just been like 4 months I've been waiting to see this band since I booked the show, then got on the flight, then got here, and then waited all day, and then waited through all these other bands. It was cool to see White Zombie, but I didn't come here to see White Zombie or Rob Zombie. Get the Misfits on the fucking stage,
Right.
let's go. Jesus Christ. But now it's cool because you can be like, hey, there's actually like six bands I really love just as much as them. Or, not just as much maybe, but I love a lot and I'm excited to see. And that were clearly
Right.
inspired. I like to say a lot of your favorite bands are playing this show. And your favorite band is also playing this show. So it's
Right.
kind of set like that. It's cool like we were talking about like CMI and Slapshot. We're saying that because if you're audio to this, you obviously have a Slapshot shirt on, so it keeps reminding me about it. But
Right.
either way, that's kind of yeah, that's the idea. Spend the day, and it's a beautiful day.
Right. And it is. And it's the I think the great thing, so if you did like a 3-day festival again, or even 2-day festivals, there's probably more you can pack in. But sometimes the endurance, right, takes a lot to be like, all right, I'm going to show up at like 4 o'clock on a Friday and then be there till midnight, and then the next day I'm going to get there at noon and be there till whenever, and then same thing on Sunday. That's a lot, even though you might get more.
Day three is
Sometimes,
brutal.
right,
Day three, you
right,
are a warrior. Because day one, you probably got all excited and then got hammered at night, and now you're just fighting through day two. At least that's probably going to be me. And then if we talk about misses, that was me. And then we got to fight through day two, miss most of it, get to see those bands. And then day three's here is another one. And how much money does this
right,
cost? How much does
right.
everything cost? Everything's so expensive now.
Exactly.
Costs a lot.
Everything. And then I think being able to do a solid one day like this is great. I mean, I'm not taking away from the 2 days and the 3 days. Those are great, but you can only do so many of those ones too. It's nice to say, oh, that's
Yeah.
only one day. I could do that.
I
Look
just
at
do
all
well.
those
I did the
bands. And it's only in one day.
Pretty much. I mean, I did the pre-show, so like if you're gonna fly in, like okay, cool, I'll have something to do the night before, or just yeah, if I'm coming into town, or if I want to be there in the morning, I don't want to drive, wake up at 7 in the morning or 5 in the morning or whatever, and drive there. I'll just go the night before. It's kind of the pre-show is like cool. Here's a really awesome, fun show for you to have. Hopefully, if you're 21, the night before, and then you can wake up and do it after, or good after the next day, obviously. But yeah, there is an element that's like a big commitment to 3 days of put your life on hold and the hotels for those 3 days. It's really going to
Right.
turn maybe more into four. And then you got to fly and it's just more and more and more expensive. But those things are fun.
Absolutely.
But it's like, and if I ever get to get lucky and blessed enough and work hard enough where I can make this thing something that can keep people happy for 3 days, that'd be cool. That'd be probably really, really gnarly. I can only imagine because I'm just looking at one like, wow. But, yeah, I know. Looking now, I look at 2 Day Fest like, holy God, who are the people that put that together? What are they on? How do they exist? They must have like a lot because that's a fucking either way. But yeah, if it's gonna be one day, do it like this.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. And I think you got to set great. It looks like a lot of fun. And anybody that's listening, if you can be there, you should be there. Let's run down one more time.
yeah,
Website is where obviously you get information, but buy tickets, and then the social medias too, so people could check
yeah,
out,
yeah, definitely.
pictures and other ways to connect with people. So let's do those.
Yeah, so everything is on deathorglorysd.com. Again, that's www.deathorglorysd.com. That's tickets, that's all your information. Tickets for any of the warm-up show August 3rd to 7 seconds, the pre-show on the 26th of September with CMI and Skinhead, or the obviously the fest, the different VIP packages, all that stuff's on there. Also, if you want to register to be a tattoo artist or to be a vendor, we have a few spots remaining for vendors in the merch mall and for artists. That's also on the website. You can also see all the artists and vendors that are going to be there, obviously on the website. So that's kind of like your one-stop shop for everything. Instagram is Death or Glory underscore SD. If you have any questions or anything like that, you can DM the Instagram. I'm usually pretty quick on there, or you can email us at deathorglorysd@gmail.com. And I get all your information, make sure everyone's set up, particularly people that are coming from out of town. We are going to have, I kind of talked earlier about the hotel situation. So we're finalizing the hotel this next week. Make sure you guys follow if you want to get information. We also have a mailing list that you can sign up to as well on the website. But daily and the quickest information generally comes through social media, the Death or Glory underscore SD, the Instagram. So uh hotels, a lot of people are asking about that. That'll be up shortly. It's going to be really close by, about less than a 10-minute drive from the venue. So they're got plenty of parking, so you can either Uber it or it's an easy drive. Same thing, it's less than 10 minutes to where the airport is if you do end up driving or flying here. But that hotel and all the information with some discounted rates and however we run with the pool party and the after party, that should all be up in the next week on the website and on social media. So for the people with that, that's coming soon. But yeah, any other questions? Like I said, just email me, the Death or Glory SD at Gmail, or the DM, and just really looking forward to this. And just can't thank people like yourself enough that have been supportive of the event. This is really, really helpful, to help get the word out there and let people know. It's if there's not people like you guys supporting, the scene and these kind of things, it's really hard, to get this stuff done. And it's you're very appreciative, for the people like you and the other people that have been helping me and put this together because it's you got to have like nice people out there, otherwise it's not going to happen. So with that, it's the bands and everyone else. It's big thank you to everyone. So looking forward to it. We got a few months, but it's going to happen. So anything like I said, you guys need, the website will be loaded.
It's perfect. And thank you very much. I enjoy doing this because, podcasts like this one and so many other great ones on the nod and whatever you listen to like that, it's kind of that bridge between those times that we actually get to connect. It's like vicariously connecting with others while they're maybe listening somewhere else. So, yeah, I guess it's cool like that to be able to do, your temporary thing to hold us over until we get the opportunity to go do stuff like what you're doing.
Oh yeah, man. Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys, man. Definitely.
Absolutely. Well, Nino, thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it, and I wish you the best of luck. I'm going to keep following and keep pushing this and letting people know as well. And I'm hoping I get to be there.
Definitely, man. You come out here, I got you, dude. All you gotta do is just get to San Diego, and then I got you from here.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you.